Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of SIA's Inside Line podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Nick Sargent, the president of the Snow Sports Industries of America, the producer of this fine show. Welcome to the show, Nick.
Thanks for having me, as always.
And you and I, after so many conversations, we're so excited to introduce today's guest to you. We're sitting today with Henri Rivers, who is quite simply a visionary and a trailblazer in winter outdoor. Henri's built such a successful career in winter outdoor professionally and personally, and currently serves as the president of the National Brotherhood of Snow Sports. This is the largest organization and community dedicated to increasing diversity and inclusion in winter sport, particularly among people of color in the USA. Founded in '73 by Art Clay and Ben Finley, the NBS unites 58 regional black ski and snow sports clubs across the country under a single umbrella. Welcome to the show, Henri. We're absolutely honored to have you here.
It's my honor. Thank you very much for having me.
I'd love to hear, in your words, your vision and mission of NBS to kind of kick off our conversation today.
Well, first of all, I will tell you what our mission is. Our mission is to identify, develop, and support athletes of color that are going to win international Olympic competitions and to increase winter participation in snow sports. Now, you said we had 58 clubs. We do, but we have 58 clubs across the United States and the United Kingdom. So we're no longer the National Brotherhood of Snow Sports. We are the International Brotherhood of Snow Sports, but we're not changing our name.
That's awesome.
I was going to bring that up. When are we going to call you the International?
Yeah. Well, you know what? This past summer, I was approached by a individual from South Africa, and they applied for a club in South Africa. So we're really spreading. I was just shocked. I met him in Jamaica, and he said he really wanted to get involved. He knows about it. They have skiing in Lesotho, and he wanted to build a club. So we'll be in several more areas soon.
That's
super
awesome.
cool.
Nick and I always ask our guests on Inside Line how you got into snow sports.
How did I get into snow sports? And you get tired of giving that story, but I don't get tired of it. I love skiing so much, you don't mind saying how it started. But I was a young kid watching the 1968 Olympics downhill, and I just fell in love with the speed, the thrill, and just how athletic those skiers were. So I found some skis. My parents had bought a place up in the Catskills. We're in New York. Found skis. I'd go outside and I'd go down the hill on these skis. They were big 6-foot-long head skis. I was a little kid. I was probably about 5'4" at the time. Oh. And it worked. I couldn't turn them, couldn't do anything except go straight. So I'd go as far as I could before the trees came, and then I'd tip over. Eventually found out that leaning or tipping would create the skis to turn a little bit, even those long straight skis. So that's how I started skiing. Then I went to the local hill, which was Phoenicia Ski Center. Kids there, they were all great kids. The local hills are always the best kids. So I would follow behind all of the good white kids skiing and try to figure out what they were doing. And eventually I was able to turn the skis, got better and better. By the time I was 14, I tried out for my high school ski team. I made the team. I was the 15th kid selected. They only took 15 kids. So I was number 15. And if I hadn't made that team, I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you, because I'd have probably said, I don't want to ski, But I made the team, and everything just shot straight up. My skiing improved exponentially, and I just had such a joy skiing.
You figured it out at such a young age. You were able to ride that wave and make that ski team, which is so cool.
It was great. And you know what? I want to add this. our societies, there's a lot of racism and there's discrimination and all that. The coach that put me on that team, there were probably about 25, 30 kids that tried out for the team. He didn't have to say I made the team. He could have just taken my number out and said, no, Johnny made the team, not you. I would have never known, but he was a good person. He had a good heart, and he went with the numbers and he put me on the team.
Things happen in strange ways. And certainly you've been around this industry ever since then. And, it's been a storied career for you in skiing, which has been really fun to watch.
So when did the two of you meet? I'm curious.
Well, I got introduced to the National Brotherhood. I think it was 2000, somewhere in that space. There was the annual event was in Vail. Mm-hmm. I was working at Solomon. A guy I was working for by the name of Mike DeCicero said, we're going to go to this event. We're sponsoring it. You're in charge of getting all the skis and the tents and all that stuff there. And I didn't know anything about it other than, we're all going to go skiing. And I was pleasantly surprised at the number of people that were there. I mean, I don't recall the number, but there was hundreds, if not thousands of people from all celebrities and athletes, business leaders. And that's when I met Henri. And it was just a really cool event. And I was really excited to be there. And I think I was fortunate to really understand at that point what the Brotherhood was up to and the level of people that were there that were pushing this agenda and looking just to really have fun and ski and really, make new friends.
But take Nick's perspective. He comes in and he witnesses a Black Summit back then. I grew up in the Catskills and there were no other Black skiers. All right. Yep. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have social media. So there was no connection with me and say a young Black kid in Chicago doing this or in Colorado doing this. So you're out there thinking you're all alone. So my first summit was 1996. I got to the mountain and I saw so many Black people skiing and they skied well. And I was just in total shock. I was amazed at that. And as a result of that, I never missed a summit.
I would say, just to add to that, the level of talent and the level that everyone was skiing at, they knew what ski they wanted. They knew where they were going. They knew everything. And again, I was just a young kid, in my career, looking at this saying, this is rad. I want to, when's the next one again? Are we, hey, Mike, are we coming back? Cause this is cool.
Yeah.
It's the power of community.
It is. But again, I was grew up in a white household in northern Vermont, and there wasn't a lot of diversity in Vermont. And so I was exposed to this, but I really wasn't exposed at the level that Henri just mentioned as the only Black guy on the mountain when he was a kid and what that meant to him. But it was so exciting to see and be a part of that. I'm like, I'm coming back. Let's keep doing this.
And again, I just have to say, through the guests that we've had and through the work that we've done, together with SIA's membership, it really does seem like the biggest solution to a lot of our challenges that we talk about on this show and in your board meetings has to do with community. And as a person who comes from media as a background, when people see it, they can be it. And I think that that's been very powerful. I'd love to talk with you how the community has grown. And then I'd love to look ahead and also talk a little bit about how it's grown exponentially with social media and just people being able to share content and community. So if you could just talk us through a little bit about the evolution of NBS and when you came in as a leader and kind of just give us some more detail on it so we can understand.
Sure. Back in 1973, when Art Clay and Ben Finley got together, they brought 13 clubs from across the country, and they all convened on Aspen. I think they had about 362 people that came to that first summit, which they called the Gathering. So, initially it was to bring like-minded people together, enjoy yourself, have a good party, and ski. And that was the purpose. After getting together a couple of years doing that, actually about 5 years doing that, they said, let's have a purpose. Let's have a reason for the gathering other than just a party environment. So that's when they crafted the mission, which was to put a black kid on a U.S. ski team. That was the mission. Mm-hmm. We did not quite get that success right away. But what we were able to do was put together a team of young, aspiring athletes that were all skiers. And mind you, it was the same. This is 1978 now. It was the same as in 1968 when I started skiing. Very talented, dedicated, hardworking young kids. So now we have a mission to identify and develop these kids. So that's what changed the direction of the NBS. That made us focus now. All right, we're going to have a summit, an annual summit, which really is our annual fundraiser. That fundraiser supports the mission of an NBS ski team. All right, so back then we might have had 10, 12 kids on the team every year. Now last year we had 34 athletes on the team. All right, we have some amazingly talented kids. We have Brian Rice. We've got Keegan Supple, Bronson Culver. These are all kids, LJ Enriquez, Ava Keenan. And back then, it was only skiing. It was alpine skiing. That was it. Now we're into at least 7 different disciplines between mogul skiing, free skiing, snowboarding, rail jams, which I don't understand, rail jams, alpine skiing, so I've made it my mission to try to make sure we diversify and get into every aspect and discipline within snow sports. There should be no limits. There should be nothing barring any of these kids' progress. So now, we're about 7,000 members strong. We have a team of 34 athletes. Some of the names I mentioned to you, they're all over the world, not all over the country. They're all over the world training, competing, especially in an Olympic cycle.
You guys,
they're all trying to qualify. They're all have aspirations of representing on the global stage. So that is it's really it's heartfelt for me. It's amazing for me because I go back to 1968 and it was just me on the hill. And I'm going to try to give you a visual picture of this black kid coming down. I didn't have ski gear. We only had 2 colors back then for let's say ladies stretch pants. It was black or white. All right. That's all you really saw. I used to ski in lime green gabardine pants and a blue snorkel jacket. I took an 8-track player and I strapped it to my body, I wrapped it around my chest, and I had theme music. And it was Herbie Hancock back then. So I'd pop them in and I'd come down the hill skiing and, you would get looks. I'd get looks, but I didn't care. Didn't matter. Skiing was so much fun and I enjoyed it so much. It blocked everything out. The lifties, and now I went from Phoenicia Ski Center to Bel Air Mountain. And the lifties there, they treated me special. They really did. They all looked out. They were all kind. There was no animosity. It was nothing like, oh, this black kid don't belong on this hill. It was great. And that's And, you know, nowadays, now I'm sure there are some incidents. I've heard of quite a few, but I think it's isolated. I think the environment, the snow sports industry is a little different than the normal population, our American population. They love skiing, they love riding, and they want to have fun. You know, so I think is the marker there, and we all enjoy it and we all have fun.
It felt like back in the day, like the resort, the mountain was your babysitter. Your parents would drop you off and you would ski, and everyone was cool and fun and helpful and looking out for everyone. And that's just what you did. And I'm curious, I don't know if people feel that way today about the mountain, but that's the way it was back in the 70s and 80s. And it was a really fun place to call your backyard.
I agree. And I think it's prevalent now. My kids grew up skiing.
Yep.
You know, my kids were on the hill since they were 1.5 years old. And we were at Wyndham. We trained and skied at Wyndham for the last 20 plus years. I was a coach there, so I wasn't always with my kids. The mountain was their babysitter. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody knows everybody. Everybody takes care of everybody. And you don't have to worry about where your kids are. Or are they safe, you know?
I'm so glad that you brought up your kids, because I definitely wanted to talk about that on the show here, because your story is one of personal and professional success in winter outdoor. Like, this has defined your life, and your children have grown up with that. And I know your wife is an avid skier. Nick and I were talking as we were rehearsing for this about how you've taken your kids to compete all over the world. It's a much bigger stage. I mean, it literally feels like, 360 probably for us growing up versus now. And I'm so curious to know if, like, you can describe what that's been like to take your kids abroad and share with our audience what that's like.
I'm laughing because I tell my kids all the time, Christmas break, they'll go to Europe or South America, whatever. And they said, well, Dad, where'd you go? I said, Christmas break. I said, I was lucky if I got to go to the Statue of Liberty. I said, I said that was the big trip. But these kids, their passport is all over the
stamped.
World.
Their passport is stamped.
Oh, it is. And I just look at that, and I'm happy that Karen and I have the ability to do this with them. But it's not just us. The National Brotherhood of Snow Sports helps us a great deal with their sponsorship and scholarships that they give to their athletes. Fortunately for us, my wife's Jamaican, so the kids, they have dual citizenship, and they're actually competing for the nation of Jamaica. We also received some help from Jamaica as well. My son just qualified for the Olympics about 3 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
Oh, it's amazing. And, I can't even describe the feeling when he qualified. But, they're experiencing something that they will never forget. This is something that will go with them for the rest of their lives. I don't care how far they go with their athleticism and going to the Olympics or whatever. It doesn't matter what they've learned, what they've seen. Helene has probably been to 4 continents. When they were down in Argentina training, she went over to Antarctica, and and she doesn't have a worry at all. She's the adventurous spirit. She doesn't care. She's going. And she drags her brother and sister with her.
It's pretty awesome that you've been able to shepherd them, lead them, share your passion. And I think probably the true element of parenting is that they love your passion so much that they want to pursue the sport. It's not like one of your kids perhaps was saying, "Oh, I want to go down a different path. Like bowling is a sport that I want to pursue." But the passion for skiing is in your blood. It's in your family, and it's what you guys do.
And that's something that I look at when I evaluate and think about snow sports,
Mm-hmm.
for Black people to get into snow sports, or anyone to get into snow sports, it's usually through their family.
Right.
You know, it's usually, I like to call it a ski pedigree. You know, your grandfather, grandmother had a cabin up at the mountain or a house at the mountain. Your parents had something at the mountain. Most Black families don't have that. There are quite a few that do. Don't get me wrong, because there are some very well-heeled individuals that have had cabins at the mountain for years. But generally speaking, that was not the case. In my family, no one skied. My dad skied in the Korean War, I don't know how many times, but he didn't bring that home. So he didn't really teach me skiing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was the first one to ski. My wife took it on and she became proficient at it. But now they're going to be the first generation, because I already know their children will ski. You know, and that was something that I was a little a little bit nervous about. Will they like skiing? Because I played athletics my whole life. Karen did the same, and I said one thing I would never do is force skiing onto them. You know, it was my job and our job to get them acclimated to cold weather and the climate.
Yeah.
And if they would take to it, I was praying they did, but I wasn't forcing it. All three of them took to it, and now I don't even ski with them anymore. You know, maybe they say, "Oh, Dad, you want to come out and ski with us?" It's okay. It'd be nice.
Something tells me you're going to be a lucky grandfather and a lot more days on snow in your world.
Oh yeah.
I have a quick, just to ask. I've had so much fun, like watching the movies that are on YouTube and everything else with social media. Like, how has that helped? Have you been able to see kind of hockey stick growth? Obviously, 58 clubs and growing, and international presence. How has that affected the trajectory?
Well, back in, let's see, I'm going to say in 1997, we probably had 84 clubs.
Oh, wow.
We had a lot more clubs. You'd come to the summit at Vail, there were 5,000 people there.
That's incredible.
And that was my first American summit. My first summit was in Austria, Aximalism. I remember that vividly. It was amazing. But when I came to Vail, there were 5. I walked outside the condo and the whole walkway, you know how Vail is laid out. Everywhere I turned was another Black person. And I was just floored. I was so happy, smiling. My heart was full. And then getting up on the mountain and skiing. And it wasn't like you were seeing people skiing. Of course, you have your beginners, but you weren't seeing that. You were seeing people that enjoyed this sport, that were adamant on becoming proficient and becoming expert skiers. There are a lot of very, very good skiers within the National Brotherhood of Snow Sports.
And have you seen, like, as you've been broadcasting, because there's a lot of content out there, and the way that I think people of all ages, but especially younger generations, are sharing this content, I just have a feeling you might be teed up for some huge growth here.
Oh, yeah. Well, we see it with the next gen population.
Yeah, what is the next gen?
I'm sorry, Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just adding on to Kristin's comment, like, and I think you're answering it, but like, what does the next generation look like? I mean, it's like, 5,000 back in like 2000 or 97, whatever that date was, to today, to tomorrow. Like, where do you see this?
My personal vision or interpretation of what I'm seeing right now, I think we're at a little bit of a lull within the MBS. If you look at, and Nick knows the numbers like the back of his hand, if you look at the growth, our membership is aging out. Most of the members are my age and better. The bulk, 55% of us are probably my age. We got another 25, 30% that are in that next gen population.
Yeah.
That's where we're focusing. But you know how the next gen young adults, you know how they are. They'll wait to the last minute to decide that they make their decisions that day. Whereas I might, back in the day, I planned as soon as I finished my ski trip in February, I was planning for my next ski trip in February. These young folks, they just go on the spur of the moment. They're like, okay, I want to go. So let's go now. I think we're going to see a little dip in our next gen involvement, but I believe, like you said, Kristin, the content is everywhere. On YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook. They don't use Facebook that much, but it's on those platforms, and you're seeing a lot of content out there. Not just the MBS, but other Black ski groups that are doing it, which is great because the MBS is like the umbrella, and we do get that much respect from all the other clubs that we've been around a very long time.
So you guys do your annual summit each year. Keystone this year. It was Keystone last year too, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. But are you seeing the trend of, is it dipping a little bit in your participation, or are you seeing spikes for the summit specifically?
Well, this year it's going to dip a little bit because a lot of our membership, one of the things they love is that they go to a different area all the time. They like to get around.
You guys move around.
I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. We have a very good relationship with Vail Resorts. We have a good relationship with Alterra as well, but we have a very good relationship with Vail Resorts. And we were supposed to go to Breckenridge, but we pivoted and decided to go back to Keystone based on the hospitality that they provided and some of the venues, the event spaces was critical in our decision. You have a couple of thousand folks there. You need event space that can house them so we can have the entertainment that we give, the happy hours that we put on. So that was part of the decision in going back to Keystone. But some of our younger members, they want to get out. They want to go to other areas. So this year, we're going to see a little dip in our registration numbers. But I'm not deterred. I'm not worried about it. It's part of business. And I know that as they mature and as they really gain a vision of wanting to ski, what the MBS has that no other organization has, it's more, we come to the summit to be together. So a lot of times people don't understand. It's not, and the younger kids they're going to find that out. It's not about where you ski, because I grew up skiing at Little Hills, and it doesn't matter. As long as you can make a turn, it's skiing.
Yeah,
but they'll find out that it's the camaraderie, the fellowship, and being together that is the reason for the summit. And that's what's going to grow us. That's what's always going to keep us going.
I agree. And that's what I think is going to, it's like gas on the fire with this content. And I bet you if we had, a panel with some of the leaders of some of your groups, we'd be hearing interesting trends within, what are the groups doing regionally? And this just really, begs the question, you're part of the global snow sports industry. And how can we do a better job to potentially, create awareness or help the participation here, or just anything we can do? Because I'll tell you, you're bringing a lot to us. And I feel like it's important for us to learn from everything you're showing us in terms of this highly engaged, emotive community that you've built. And I feel like sometimes we get so transactional in our discussions here. It's the heart of the matter. You're such a special guest in that way, in terms of a guide for us.
And Nick knows this. We've had discussions about this. I don't want to, back in 2020, when George Floyd was murdered, the window of opportunity opened up. All right. Everybody wanted to see how they could become more inclusive and more sensitive to humanity and inclusion. Yeah. So what that, you got to think it's not just about selling lift tickets. All right. Because you can say, okay, we had a huge increase in lift ticket sales. We sold 10% of our lift tickets to people of color. That is not inclusion. Okay. So what we've embarked upon within the National Brotherhood of Snow Sports is trying to make the industry understand, to show our segment of the population, to show our communities of color what inclusion is to build us into the infrastructure.
Yep.
All right. So that means hiring and providing employment opportunities within the snow sports industry. So I come to Keystone and I see your housekeeping director is a Black woman. I see your VP of human resources is a Black person. So that gets registered. That goes in the back of your head. You're like, okay, this is not the sterile white environment that is projected. So that's where inclusion starts. That's how it has to develop in that way.
Yep.
So then it comes out on the outside. When people of color come to those resorts, they see people of color working the resorts, not just in low management positions, but in upper management positions. Then they say, okay, well, maybe this is a decent, they mean right. They mean well. They're actually trying to make the environment more inclusive, inviting. So that's what has to happen. And I believe it's slowly starting to happen. We've been instrumental in helping guide some of those major corporations in the industry. So now we have an initiative with Vail Resorts, with Colorado Mountain College, Mammoth, where we're actually going to HBCUs, giving them a week-long training session on hospitality, mountain operations, sustainability in the snow sports industry.
Yep.
They're learning these things and they realize it's just like corporate America, but this is an opportunity, employment opportunities they never knew existed. So now we're bringing that out. We're having these classes. Hopefully we'll get it so that it's an accredited 2-credit course. So, it'll be a 30-hour week-long program. But it's given kids like that, the kid that I was, it's giving them an opportunity to say, okay, maybe I'll give it a shot and I'll work in the snow sports industry. So that is going to open up the industry. That's going to help a great deal.
I love that.
100%. It's so cool. And it's so fun. It's so fun when you're out doing whatever you do, and to see diversity in this space is awesome.
And I just also want to say, I think one of the reasons there's such a vibrancy when you make that discovery is because we are all benefiting from wellness, being in the outdoors. I think that what you fell in love with, in your awesome, gabardine pants, as you said, flying down the hill, or even when you were younger, like it's all about the freedom and being in the, in the woods or in the trees and the quiet. And I just feel like, yes, what you're saying makes total sense. And diversity has to be everywhere, but the wellness part of it is so important for us right now. It is so important for us to get off the screens, be outside with our friends and family. And I just feel like it's such a special message to get across. We talk about it in almost every show we do, but I just feel like what you're leading is a version of that's like on a completely different level. And we're watching it go global, which is incredible at this time. And please know, like, we're excited to learn how we can support this. I think Nick and Maria at SIA and the board have always prioritized this. And it's just something that I think we need to really be putting our arms around together, because we obviously need it from a business perspective, but from a wellness perspective, that is the outdoors. That's so important right now.
I have one of my triplets, Helena. She doesn't use anything with high fructose corn syrup. She reads every label. She barely is on her phone. Smart girl. All she does is she does her work and she skis. But then in all season she travels a great deal. But I like seeing that, and I don't, and her mother and I, we don't have to push that on her. She's pushing it on us. Why did you buy this? Oh my God. And throws it away, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? But you're absolutely right. We have to save our kids, because there's so many negative distractions, and it keeps them from the outdoors. Once my kids got into the outdoors, that's all I had to do. I'm done now, because I don't have to convince them of anything. I know they will always appreciate the outdoors. They won't abuse the outdoors. All three of my kids were they just became Eagle Scouts, actually last year. They had their ceremony this year. They're the first Black triplet Eagle Scouts in the country.
I love it.
It was an amazing accomplishment, but I say that because they are just so in tune with doing no harm to the environment and being very conscious of our environment. They don't litter. They know I'd break their wrist or something, but they don't litter, and they don't like people that do. Mm-hmm. So I'm very proud of the direction they're going in. I'm very proud of a lot of the kids that are in their friend groups. Mm-hmm. They do the same. So, it doesn't seem, you're looking at TV and you're seeing all the negative posts and all that stuff. That's not 100% true, because there are a lot of these young kids that are very observant of the environment, and they're protective of it. And that's what we have to foster. That's what we need to keep instilling in these kids. And that'll get them to skiing. Agreed. Or riding, excuse me.
Or riding. Or both. All of what did you say? Your 11 sports that you guys are pursuing?
Yep.
Either one. Exactly. It doesn't matter to us.
Exactly right.
And the development of elite athletes and showing diversity on global podiums, that's going to open the door right there. I mean, I just feel like that's going to be an incredible goal, an incredible moment in time.
I tell that to my kids all the time. I tell them, look, you guys are good skiers. We both know that there are some amazingly talented athletes that you're going to compete against. It's not that. Don't even worry about that. What you're doing is giving the world a view of elite athleticism from young Black athletes. What I believe, and this is the first time I'm going to say this out loud, but what I believe we didn't do as an organization, the National Brotherhood is at that time skiers, we had some great athletes come up. We identified and we developed them. We got them out there. Andre Horton, Suki Horton, Lauren Samuels, Ralph Green, Errol Kerr, some of these amazing athletes. We got them. Errol went to the Olympics in 2010, ski across. He finished 9th. Excellent showing. Very good. But what we didn't do, the MBS, was, and we didn't do it probably because we didn't have the knowledge on what we should have done. We didn't get the door open and hold it open enough to bring the next set of Black talented athletes up and expose them to the world. So I tell my kids, I said, guys, your mission, you're going to make the Olympics. Your mission is on a global stage, show them what is here. Show them your elite, your athleticism, your ability to compete at that high level.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many more that are going to come behind you. And I will help you keep that door open so that they can come through as well. Once we start getting in, the world will see. There is no fear. There should be no fear about, these black athletes are going to come in. No, it's about global excellence. All of us. And Nick knows, we sit on a board together, and I tell him, I said, now, Nick, in 2022, you remember how many medals we thought we were going to come home with?
I don't know if I have enough fingers on my hands here.
Right. And how many did we come home with?
Yeah.
Ryan.
It wasn't the best showing.
Ryan Cochran-Siegel got our Alpine medal. We thought we were getting like 12, 13, 14 medals.
That's right.
One. What does that tell you? It tells me we need to open up and broaden our athletic pool base. We've got to open up that base, because in this country, we've got more talent than we know what to do with. But we have to have access to them. So bringing a black athlete up and getting them up to that level, it's only going to help America. It's only going to help the world. That gold medal that they bring back, it's not a black gold medal. It's a U.S. gold medal, or whatever country it is. The color is not on that. It's gold, silver, bronze. That's it. So it's going to enhance the sport. It's going to show the world that, look, we're all in this together. Let's do it together. So
you've been doing this for a long time, and you and I have been together watching, all these projections, all these athletes, time and time again. And it's been really fun, and it's been a privilege and a pleasure. But just to your comment about 2010, you guys weren't prepared for where we landed in 2010. Where do you see, what differences do you see in 2026 and 2030 that you guys are focused on, or you guys can influence? You can think about where you want to position NBS athletes, the sport.
Well, honestly, I think,
because we got a big event happening this February, which we'll all be watching.
Yes,
intently. I'll be watching you, by the way. So,
well, you know what? I honestly believe education, sport education, competition education has grown. 20 years ago, back in 2010, let's say, we had, within the NBS, we had a handful of coaches, parents, instructors that had an understanding of competition. Now, I believe that has grown exponentially. We've got a lot more families that understand what it takes to compete at a higher level. We have a membership, and I would like to take credit for that within my organization, that over the last 5 years, I've been pushing what it takes to be competitive in snow sports. Mm-hmm. And I've been pushing that to my presidents, to our membership. So now when they look at, I know viewership has increased for Peacock and what is it, Ski and Snowboard Live, and those. I would like to.
We just saw the numbers, Henry. We saw the numbers a few hours ago.
Right. And, I believe that I've had something to do with that, helping to educate my organization, the National Brotherhood of Snow Sports.
You have expert coaches now. I've seen you in Park City, your staff, you're working with US Ski and Snowboard. You're having athlete camps at the center of excellence. I mean, you are pushing the needle. You're moving the direction here. So yeah, I'll give that to you.
Thank you. But that's what we have to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And we can't drop the ball on that. We have to just continue that. I don't think it's going to stop because you heard what they were talking about, and I kept my mouth shut the whole time. They were talking about biathlon, Nordic.
Mm-hmm.
That is our low-hanging fruit, honestly. It really is, especially for the NBS.
Yeah.
We have one young athlete in Colorado. This kid is great, and he's a biathlon. All right.
Yeah.
And he's pretty decent as far as strength and aerobics doing Nordic. So I've already, Anook already knows of him. I've told him, Sophie knows of him. I was like, look, this kid, we got to watch him. We've got to nurture him. We've got to develop him because he has potential.
Just for the audience, Henry and I sit on the U.S. Ski and Snowboard board of directors, and we had our board of director meeting before this. So a lot of this information is fresh in our head, but we've been at this for a long time, and the number of kids that have gone through the program, and surprisingly, all the other winter sports historically you would think of skiing and snowboarding, but biathlon, Nordic is awesome, and it's really fun to watch.
And I think you're gonna see great growth there. Yeah. And you're gonna see great growth there with diversity.
Agreed.
All right, because we're pushing that, and I just can't wait to see how this young athlete performs this year. Hopefully, I can get him get Anook to look at him enough that they'll say, okay, he has promise. Let's take him under our wing.
Yeah, Anook Patty, director of sport for U.S. Ski and Snowboard.
So this ecosystem really is holding the door open, isn't it? So what you were talking about where you maybe didn't see that before, there's multiple layers within the network and the community of global, winter outdoor and snow sports that need to be part of holding this door open for future talent, and also enabling the future talent to be supported, trained, prioritized, so that we can get to elite status and win these medals. And I do think no matter what the sport, we have seen exponential change before and after when that happens. So I think it's super smart, and it's very exciting that you're focusing there, like at the top level.
Yep.
It's going to happen. I mean, it's just a matter of when and where and who. So brace yourself. It's going to be a fun journey.
I've got 2 years left. I've got 2 years left as the president of the National Brotherhood of Snow Sports. But when my term is up, I will still be an advocate. I will still be an ambassador, and we're going to make it a reality.
Agreed. 100%.
You heard it here, everyone. I'm very excited. Thank you so much. Is there anything that we missed getting in front of our audience and membership today?
This is a conversation. It doesn't stop here. This conversation keeps going in perpetuity. And, I'm really looking forward to Henry. I'd love to have you back on the show, in March, after the Olympics, after the NBS Summit at Keystone. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. It's going to be really, really exciting. And, I think what we're about to see, at the games in a couple of weeks is going to be amazing. And I'll be watching, and like I said, I'm going to be watching you, Henry. And it's going to be an exciting moment.
It is. What's more important, there are so many athletes of color that participate in the Olympics already that people are not aware of. You've got Mia from Madagascar, Sabrina from Kenya. They're amazing athletes. And like Sabrina, she's got like 30 points. She's a top levels racer.
Yeah.
But we just have to get them out there so people see it.
Yeah. And the Olympics is the ultimate platform for media, for exposure, for everything that everyone is looking for. This is where you go. This is when it happens once every 4 years. It's a great platform.
Yep.
Absolutely. We very much look forward to having you back on after the successes in early 2026, Henry. And this has been as inspiring as I knew it would be. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. It's been awesome to have you with us.
And the only thing I would add is that we are the National Brotherhood of Snow Sports, but anyone can join our clubs. All right. We have plenty of white members that come out and have a blast. All right. So it's not, you don't have to be black to be in the National Brotherhood of Snow Sports. Our event this year will be February 25th in 2026, February 28th, to March 7th. February 28th to March 7th at Keystone Resort in Colorado. It's going to be a great experience. Please plan. If you want, come. We welcome you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Count me in.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll have you back on soon.